Hey y'all, how's it going? Hopefully good. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks everybody for the comments on the MTAP pointed bullet pointing conversation. It's definitely getting me thinking a lot more about the experiment itself, kind of what the MTAP is advertised to do. And Gary, your comments about, don't screw up the the cutting angle and whatnot. So kind of, if you cut it at a certain angle, the characteristics change and blah blah blah. So these are all good, really good comments. I appreciate it. It's helping me to kind of think a little bit more about the method needed for that kind of an experiment. And at this point, I really want to stick to whatever the manufacturer is recommending in terms of, angle of cutting and hey, if you can pull unsorted bullets out and just cut them and you're good to go, well then, okay, then if the developer is recommending that, then that's what we'll do, So anyway, keep them coming. Anything you guys can throw at me to help me kind of, further refine the methodology is great. My replies back to you, it may not sound that I superly appreciate everything you contribute, but I do really. It all helps. So please throw it out there if there's something important that you think we need to know or I need to know. I want to get on a topic of cleaning. I get asked this a lot, and I just want to get this out of the way. Different matches have different cleaning methods, and I guess so it's like, for example, when I was shooting NRL PRS tactical style matches, like I would shoot maybe 80 to 100 rounds a day without any cleaning all day, because you're hiking around, you got a pack on. I wasn't about to pack a cleaning rod and cleaning stuff in addition to all the other stuff I was packing in. Packing all my ammo, packing my heavy, tactical rifle, packing, bags used as, on the props to, settle the rifle and blah, blah, blah. I wasn't about to just add all this crap to that whole mix. So, in that kind of circumstance, cleaning was just kind of almost not an option. It was like, just run the full day of match and then clean afterwards, right? So, but the one thing that I do, it's kind of a standard procedure for me, or a standard guidance and rule, I guess, is I definitely clean as often as I can. Okay, so and I don't like, or I don't consider like my regiment over cleaning either, and I'll kind of go over that too and explain that a little bit. So let's delve right in. Let's go into what is used. So this is what I use, the Thorough Flush. This is from Bullet Central. There's other stuff. What's the name of it? I don't know. I know Bruno sells it. I forgot the name of it, but it's kind of like Thorough Flush. It's a kind of detergent liquid. And it kind of does. I actually use the one that Bruno sells, and I don't know why I'm totally blanking on its name now, but it's extremely similar. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if chemically it's the exact same. I went away from those kind of ammonia-based, stinky. Gosh, I forgot the name of this stuff, but I used to use this ammonia-based stuff, and it smelled horrible. And you had to kind of clean it out of the bore right away. You couldn't just accidentally forget, oh shoot, I ran a wet patch through, and now it's the next day, and oh, looks like I better clean it out. This was the kind of stuff that, right? Yeah, Sweet 762, I think is what it was called. It was like you had to run the patch and then you had to dry it out shortly thereafter. You couldn't let that stuff sit for a while. That stuff stinks. And frankly, I've ran bore scopes hundreds of times down barrels after cleaning. This stuff probably cleans even better than Sweets. I mean, I don't want to, I can't, I'm not definitively saying it does. I'm just saying it's definitely as good, if not better. And it doesn't stink. When you open this thing up and you smell it, it has really no kind of smell. So I love this thing because it's liquidy. If you get a little on your finger, all it does is have a little sort of kind of like a soapy film to it, and all you do is just wipe it off, right? That ammonia-based stuff, you get it on your hands or whatever, and even after you wipe it off, your hands kind of stink and whatnot. And so anyway, so I bought a little bottle like this, and I fill this up. So this is what I take to the range. This is my range cleaning bag. I just have these out here to illustrate what it is I'm showing you. Okay, and so essentially that's what I use to clean out the carbon. It doesn't really clean out copper that much, or if it does, I can't see it on the patch. The carbon, I definitely see the carbon on the patch. If it does clean out copper, it's not showing on the patch. I don't think it does, because even after cleaning with this, let's say I use this copper remover, I can easily see the copper when I use this. This is the Bortec copper remover. Again, the reason why I use this is kind of the same thing with the Thorough Flush. There is no nasty stench. Oh, well, shoot. Maybe I need to, let me actually get a bottle that I'm using. The cap is still on that one. There's no like really bad stench. I don't know. I can kind of smell something, but it's not really obvious. And it's kind of the same thing as the Thorough Flush. It doesn't stink, and when it gets on your fingers, it's kind of more of like a soapy thing. You just wipe it off, and bam, you're done. No smell on your fingers, and it gets the job done. Certainly, when I push a patch through, soaked in that. It's very blue or almost kind of like in some cases, slight greenish, but certainly more blue. You can actually easily see the copper. Okay, and then the other things that I have in here is bolt grease, because after I do my cleaning regimen, I also grease the bolt. And then this is EOSO bore paste. You can see that the writing on it is all worn out. This is the reason why it's all worn out is because this has been in this bag for a long, long time. I haven't used it all, obviously. There's still a healthy amount in there, but I rarely use this stuff, okay? So that's the other kind of takeaway is I rarely use the EOSO. I mean, it is very abrasive. I've had people that, I use EOSO after every, 5-shot group or after a record target. And, they always complain about their barrels going bad really quick. So I think there is something to that where, this is an abrasive. It may be sort of wearing out the barrel, actually. So I use it sparingly. I usually only use it if, for whatever reason, I may have forgot to clean right away, or I believe for whatever reason that the carbon in the barrel may be getting really hard, or maybe I bore scoped it and I saw a carbon ring, in the neck area, and then I'll use that to kind of scrub it out. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, I usually do not use that EOSO or use very sparingly. So how do I clean? Number one, look, my cleaning utensils. You want a really good bore guide. This is a solid bore guide. I mean, this is for a 6 ppc chamber specifically. The guide goes in. You can see it's sort of coned in there. It goes in. This kind of form fits to the chamber. This goes into the action. It fits perfectly with the action. And then this thing, you can move it back and forth depending on the length of your action. This is set for a Bat Nouveau short action, so it's tightened down for that. But you can loosen this up and move it back and forth according to the size of your action. And then you want one that has a good port there to be able to drop your fluids. Okay, so this one, like, just boom, it's solid, it's stout, it locks right in. It does a great job kind of sealing off that chamber. And going with it is a sort of bore guide. And so what happens is you pop that puppy in your action, and then I what I do is I put the bore guide on my cleaning rod, and then I put my patch, wet my patch, put it in here, wet it, and then slide this into the bore guide there, and then it centers it up perfectly. So it comes out of there like pretty well centered. So it's not gonna like smash into your one lands, your bottom lands or whatever. Because if you don't have this little guide, got a lot of play there. And so depending on your bias, if you're like pushing up, you're gonna hit the bottom of your lands, or if you're pushing down, you're gonna hit the top. With this guide in there, it kind of gets you going in straight the whole way. So a high quality bore guide. Now the actual sort of stick itself I have here, this is a stainless one. Tons of people, oh, don't use the stainless, it ruins your barrel. No, dude, it doesn't. Like, I've used stainless, I've used synthetic, I've used them all. Like, this thing does not hurt the barrel one bit. I don't know what the hell people are talking about, but and then this one you can use like what's called a push through jab, where it's just a point at the top, and you put your patch kind of into the point, and then it pushes your patch in through. Or you can do the groove kind, where you kind of just put the patch like in the groove. I've used both, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't see any real difference using either one. I use the push through when I have a bucket in front of the bench, where the patch just drops off after it goes through the bore, and it drops right into the bucket, just for convenience. When I don't have that, I use this. Okay, and then the kind of brushes I use are nylon. I typically don't brush. I just, more often than not, just essentially take one patch, put it on the tip, put it into the, solvent port area, drop in my thorough flush all over that patch, get that patch thoroughly wet, and then just push one wet patch through. And when that, and then if it's a pointed tip jag, then it just falls off when it, exits the barrel. If it's, this kind of groove based, I may pull the patch back in to wet it even more, or just go up to the front, pull the patch out, and then throw it away. Again, there's also been sort of stuff about, oh, don't run it back in after you've ran it through, you're going to ruin your crown. I've never seen that. I don't know. I mean, you got some kind of metal patch you're using or something, but I've never seen that ruin a crown. I could look at all of my crowns, and they're all pretty much just as fine as the day that I got them. So, again, I don't know where that comes from either. So I rarely use the brush, but when I do, it's this nylon one. Usually what I do when I brush is I brush with the copper remover. And so I will put this at the end of the cleaning rod, and then, insert it into here, and then douse this thing with the copper remover, and then send it through and do about like a dozen brushes. Like I said, after that, when I pull this out and I wipe this down, you can just see the blue on it. I mean, it's definitely cleaning the copper out. How often do I clean copper? Not often. I may run the entire life of a barrel without ever cleaning the copper out of it. I do sometimes if like a barrel's acting weird. Let me just see if maybe, because I've seen it on borescopes, like copper chunks kind of getting caught in certain areas in the barrel. If I notice that kind of stuff, I'll copper clean that barrel, a little more often than I would other barrels. But again, I don't copper clean unless like there's some rationale to do so, or unless I'm trying to sort of test something out, like, oh man, it's just not shooting well today. I don't know why. Load's fine, atmospherics are fine. Let's just do a copper cleaning and let's see what happens. So I don't really do it that often. So there you go. I mean, I'd say, what I primarily do is just one patch of thorough flush, go through, and then I'll do, 3 or 4 dry patches to dry it out. and that's it. If I'm, shooting at a short range bench match where I have the opportunity to clean after every record target, I generally will clean either after every record or after every other record. I have had times where I was so busy doing stuff that I didn't clean all morning. But usually, I'll get the time during the lunch period to go ahead and clean, and I'll clean then. Certainly, I don't want to leave the range without cleaning, because I want that carbon out of there. I don't want it sitting in there for a long time. If I forget to and I come home, I'll clean in my garage. And again, since I use these types of fluids that don't have any stench or anything weird, I'm okay with cleaning in my garage. It doesn't make my garage stink. I'm not worried about the kids accidentally touching it or anything like that. I would be with sweets. With sweets, I would not clean in my garage because it would stink. I'd be worried my kids are gonna, grab it and, do something weird with it. With this stuff, not at all. And then after I do that, then I'll pull the bore guide out of the action. And then what I do is I take a large shotgun patch. And this is an important step too. Don't miss this step either. I'll take a shotgun patch, and then I will take this bore mop stick. I will stick the large shotgun patch over this, and then I will go in and I will clean out the chamber. Okay. And then when I'm done with that, I just take this, throw it away. The reason why I do that is these things here, number one, are kind of expensive. Number two, they're not widely available all the time. They're out of stock a lot. Number three, I have used these solely, but they get really dirty really fast. And you can wash them. Like, I've thrown them in my laundry before, and they come out really nice, but they only will last maybe 5 washings before they get just toast, where stuff just starts falling out and everything. So that's why I use this. This extends the life of the mop considerably. And shotgun patches, thousands of them, are really cheap. And so I'm essentially just kind of saving the life of this thing, and not having to wash it all the time, because it does, it will eventually just kind of die out on you after, in my experience, about 5 washing cycles. But yeah, you can literally throw that in with your laundry and it'll come out really clean. And this thing has a little guide, a little, form fitter there for your action. I typically, when I get in there, I don't actually form fit this to the action. I kind of push it back, because what I'm gonna do is I want to put that patch on there, and I want to kind of move it around, turn it, and kind of move it around in there, so I get all the chemicals out of that chamber. The reason why is, if there's chemicals left over in that chamber, it can pressure up really fast. I actually had this happen where I forgot to clean out a chamber. I went and I, chambered my first round. I was on the sighter target, and I fire it, and it made a very loud noise. It was like this popping noise along with the bullet. And it was kind of unusual. And I was like, whoa, what the heck happened? I looked over at my target, and the person next to me was like, I think your bullet went over the target, because I saw something on the background of the berm, really high over your target. And I was like, holy crap, I could not find a bullet hole on the target at all. The person next to me apparently saw just this kind of high flying bullet up on the top of the berm. And I was like, what the heck happened? And after that, I looked around and I found this with the shotgun patch on it, but the shotgun patch was totally clean. Like, I had totally forgot to sort of clean out the chemicals that were inside the chamber. And I was like, oh, that's probably what caused it to pressure up. So I quickly, went in there, cleaned it out. At that point, it was already pretty much vaporized, but I went and cleaned it out again, and I can see carbon on here. And I thought, oh shoot, that's probably exactly what happened. The chemicals just caused an overpressure, and that bullet just it went maybe a couple feet higher than the POI should have. Anyway, so that's why I make sure I clean out that chamber with that chamber mop, make sure that's all dry. You don't want that pressure spike situation. So there you go. Pretty simple. Just, like I said, one patch through, clean out the carbon, a couple, two, three, maybe four dry patches, depending on just, what I found is barrels with more grooves require more patches. Barrels with less grooves require less dry patches, not wet, but dry. I only run one wet patch. But I found that, the 3 and 4 groove barrels, I can probably do, 2 dry patches, but the 5 and 6 groove barrels, I normally have to do like 4 dry patches to dry it out. And that's, again, as often as I can. Definitely don't let the carbon sit in there for any prolonged period of time. And then with the copper stuff, again, I rarely clean with it. It's mostly just because, I'm trying to sort of rule out maybe copper fouling is an issue with precision or whatnot. But oftentimes it's not. Sometimes, and I have seen this with a borescope, actually, copper kind of chunking in particular areas of a barrel. If I know that about a barrel, then I will use the copper remover quite routinely with it. But as terms of regular use, not really. And then again, the EOSO, kind of the same thing. Very rarely, use it sparingly. Typically only use it when I've accidentally left a barrel full of, real dirty barrel full of carbon for weeks, months on end, and I go in there and go, oh crap, I forgot to clean this thing. Well, I'll bust out the EOSO to get that carbon destroyed, or if there's like a carbon ring in the neck area, then I'll use the EOSO to help me scrub it out. But other than that, it's the thorough flush pretty much gets the job done. I can run an entire life of a barrel with just doing thorough flush. Anyway, all right, y'all. Take care. Hope this was helpful. I know there's probably 8,000 different ways to clean a barrel. I've just kind of found the simplest and easiest way that I believe. Again, one wet patch, a few dry patches, and that's it. I have other means of cleaning other things, EOSO, copper, but those are typically used very sparingly. And there you go. All right, take care. We'll see you.